is my kingdom come. This is my kingdom come. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide. It's where my demons hide. Don't get too close. It's where my demons
Hello and welcome to a show match between Team Ragnarok Norway and Boundary Breakers, a team of Chinese players and influencers that are looking to shatter that boundary and prove what they can do against teams over in the Western world. I'm joined today by Sam. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm excited to be here. I'm always excited to see some players I haven't seen before, see a style I haven't really seen before with some Chinese players against an Overwatch World Cup level contending team who obviously, unfortunately, were eliminated from that tournament, but have shown some great games in qualification stages.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to beat Portugal in that final match, obviously a difficult group going up against both Germany and Great Britain. So it would have been hard to go forwards for Norway from that group anyway, but a valiant effort and making sure to win that final game against Portugal. So technically coming into here off of a win and going into the other team, Boundary Breakers, we've seen a side that they've put out before against I believe it was Team India, but I don't think there was too many crossovers between that team and this one. But it should be a very good matchup between these two teams. We are just making sure that the lobby is sorted. We are going to be playing on Netherlands servers just to make sure the ping is a slight bit easier for our players from China to be able to consistently play with. But Team Norway is going to be fairly standard in terms of their roster. And let's have a look at that now. So we've got Jesper, obviously, of Telesea, having brought them up to that OWCS Tier 1 level. Psycho on DPS as well. Actually, I believe it is Snowdrop in today and Kevin in on tank. But Nexty and Reflect are going to be both in on support, and also I believe Reinschreit is in on DPS. Then on the other side, Boundary Breakers, we've got Tengwan, Shindehi, Heiyu, Weya, and Bin as their 5 starting for this game. We are also doing the current OWCS map pool, so it's going to be a lot of interesting things in there, and it's going to be a coin toss between our two teams to see who will be picking first. So we're just going to wait to see what the result of that coin toss is and what our first map is going to be. But a very interesting map pool looking at it. And I mean, there's some favorites that are out of here. Suravasa not in the map pool. You look at Lijiang Tower not in the map pool either, but that does give us some more variety to play around. And especially in a show match, you want to see what these two teams can do across loads of different competitions in terms of what we're looking at.
Yeah, I think the lack of Li Zhang is really interesting for Control. It just means you're more likely to see something different. I think Ilios is probably the most popular of the three, but Antarctic has been on the rise in terms of, I think, both pick rate and enjoyability from a spectating and playing perspective. I think they kind of nailed that rework with the way they touched up that map, and it just flows so nicely now. For hybrid, we have King's Row available, so I suspect if we go to hybrid, it'll be there. But we do also have Neon Junction, and I mean, if the teams are really playing for fun, then we could get some Neon Junction competition, as Boundary Breakers do get to select on that map, and I wonder where they go here. I think missing out Saravas from Flashpoint always hurts. The other maps I think are a little bit below par compared to such a great design there, but I'm fascinated to see what they pick out here. If they're looking to play for, I mean, obviously they're going to want to win. They always want to win, but it might be trying to win on some more unconventional picks.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen Neon Junction on the rise in terms of the playoffs over in Korea. It's been picked fairly consistently over something like a King's Row. Wouldn't expect to see a Hollywood in the pool today being played. An interesting set of maps for Escort as well. Do really favor poke on a couple, but maybe dive more focused on Dorado. Control is going to be a little bit more consistent over what we expect to be played, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, obviously missing out on the Suravasa. For me, I love Suravasa, so I don't have a problem with it being picked pretty much every single time Flashpoint is picked, but at the end of the day, it being taken out is going to give us some variety to look at. And then you look at Push, again, fairly consistent Colosseo. At least, I mean, we're going back ages now, but the walls being taken down allows for a bit more counterplay within that Colosseum corridor. But New Queen Street as well, you can play a fair few different things. So we'll see what these teams decide to do in terms of picking. And yeah, I am really excited to look at this. The only other thing to note before we get into our picks and bans is that because this is the first mode, it will be Ragnarok Norway taking the first ban after the map pick from Boundary Breakers.
Yeah, and I think there are some pretty strong default bans right now, just with some solid heroes in the pool right now. I think Shion is dangerous, can always be a valuable ban if you've not quite adjusted to her playstyle yet, if you've not got your own Shion star. I think Mizuki as well, if you want to run any sort of dive, is just such a good counter dive pick right now. His chain feels relatively easy to hit for how much value it can provide, especially on a tank, especially a diva, right? It's one of those few abilities that can break through that defense matrix and makes him super strong into her. There's obviously later on in the series the bans will become more dependent on what the teams are bringing out, but I think there's a lot to be said for those early bans. I am quite a big fan of New Queen Street as a push map. I know it's not the most popular one, but I think there's quite a lot of dynamism you can do there. I think dive is, I think that's kind of the case with push in general, is you can ball around the map a little bit more if you want to play more clumped. But we are going to go to Ilios, so of course there's always the hog on well situation, and works outside of that, but it's a bit of a playground for a Lucio comp, and I think also Ruins, you can get some dive going, you can get some Widowmaker action as well. There's a lot to run on Ilios. It's why it's such a classic, and again, exciting to see what is brought out by these teams.
Yeah, and like you said previously, is probably the favored out of those three in terms of what you want to be doing, but we'll see what they go with for the rest of the maps here. But Ilios first, and like you said, Ragnarok have the ability to ban out something like that Mitsuki. There is, still a fair amount of tanks that you can play in this meta. We've seen Malga come back into the fold in a big way, but Sigma, I would say, is the slight favorite over everything else at the moment. It's brought Rhyme back into the meta, which is really surprising, just for the amount of CC that chain into a creation is able to land. Junkrat ban, we'll see if that actually goes through, or whether it's the prod trolling us for a second. But it could be a default. It's real. It's real. Everything's real. Okay.
I've never really, I don't think I've ever seen anyone ban Junkrat as a first ban. Maybe there's something we don't know about the Boundary Breakers that Ragnarok Norway do. Maybe they have a Vulture-esque player on that Junkrat who can get those beautiful one-shot combos, but in the right hands can be a very strong character. Jetpack Cat, I think, makes sense on Ilios. Lots of outside potential, lots of verticality that can be abused with the Cat on Ruins, on Well also. On all three submaps, Cat can work well. So I think as a default ban for Boundary Breakers, that one makes a lot more sense to me. The Junkrat I'm interested in, but I'm hoping that later on in the series we get to see why they banned out on map number 1.
Yeah, and it is difficult coming in. You might have some knowledge of the team, but in terms of a team like Boundary Breakers, a team that doesn't realistically play too much outside of their own region, it's difficult coming in to know exactly what to expect. And the other thing that the Junkrat ban does is, even if you get into that situation, you're not really expecting the Junkrat to be a major ban, which is why we questioned it in the first place. But it means that you're keeping your options open for bans when you actually know what this team is going to play, which will help you in the long run. Obviously, being able to ban out something the other team is going to play later on in the series, when you know that they don't have as many bans to take away from you because they've exhausted them early, is going to help a lot. In terms of the Cat ban, we've seen Cat Bastion to be brought to heal a little bit, but still definitely is viable. I'd say it's just closer to being a little bit more balanced than previously, but I see a Hazard through the wall there just for a second, and we'll see what these two teams will decide to go with in terms of the compositions in just a second.
Yeah, Hazard's certainly a strong pick here on Ruins. Has Okay, is one of the most I think defensive dive tanks, but in the end it's going to be a double Malga pick on both sides, and there's a early pause unfortunately. But we do get some time now to chat about these team compositions. I imagine those Symmetras are just to get themselves out of spawn, but the Malga pick on both sides is cool. We saw I think Kiri Lucio on both sides as well, so looking like pretty standard stuff for both teams here.
It looked like it was Kiriana hovered at least, and then the on run for Reinschreit, I don't know if that will be continued through to the actual game, but not something that I was expected to see, but does have the synergy with the Malga. And we look at these two teams, yes, Snowdrop switching over to the Xion, the more normal, or at least normal up until this season, on the Tracer for Tengwan as we get into our first forays of this matchup. Both teams just look wary to engage at the moment, and Lonely is going to be on this Ana, so expect some big antis onto this tank of Kevin, but it's just a run over, I mean literally over 10-1, and the rest of the team will follow as well. Sheep just not having the sustainability to survive over the rest of the team, and Reinschreit's going to take the aggressive angle on the top and make sure that no one can take it early.
Yeah, I just think that damage potential from Xion, especially on a low HP target like a Tracer, there's so much as we get into this next fight early doors. It's very fast towards the spawn, and Kevin's found the first one to Corpy, Reflect onto Lonely 2 and Snowdrop. That's found Shindahe, so that's going to be fight over once more. It's just a Malga back of the way here. Kevin's farming smoke charge for his supports. Actually could go down here, but Reflect with the stagger onto Tengwan is really nice, and yeah, the Xion switch makes sense to me because I think this, playing Tracer into Xion is so difficult when you get run over by a bike.
Yeah, immediately it's so difficult. Next to using the TP to get onto the higher ground, it's a really strong position that Norway have at the moment. But it does mean Kevin's a little bit isolated. Has to be wary of that anti as well. Reflect going down early, but that anti's not going to come out. That bike doing numbers for Snowdrop, and then switching to the guns as well, being able to take him down. A lot of low players here for Norway, though. They're able to break through that boundary eventually, the players from China, and finally they're able to get on the board here. The flip should come through quickly, and just not enough to be able to sustain it here for Norway.
Yeah, it's a bit poor from Reflect there. Doesn't quite make it his way to the house back and gets caught out early by the Malga. And you think Snowdrop's got away there, but the Kiriko shot from Corpy closes him out despite the overhealth from the lunge, and that's a nice win there for the Boundary Breakers to get themselves in this map. 50% on the board for Ragnarok or Norway. Kevin and Malga inside cages. This high burst damage. Snowdrop's going to find the first of the Xion ultimate, but traded out by Shindahe with a two-piece. Corpy is on to Reflect, and it's looking like Boundary Breakers are turning this fight. Snowdrop has to get this mega pack, and they have to back away with their tank.
Yeah, I mean, you gave the health pack over, and it means that Kevin doesn't get it. Able to get back, and the support should be back alive to make sure that Kevin will survive. But Shindahe taking over that fight, making sure that those 2 kills counted significantly. Has to back away from the angle for now. Taking a bit of chip damage before getting back. There's a lot of ults here on the side of Norway to look forward for online, but it's going to be the Kitsune rush early from the Boundary Breakers. Cage fight in to try and stick them in here, and just too much damage coming into Tengwan from Reinschreit with that Phoenix dive. The rest of the team falling low, and it is a significant win for Norway, but 3 ults invested to get that done, and only 1 invested on the other side. Boundary Breakers are going to be coming back in with a lot in the next fight.
Yeah, Shindahe's overclock looking like the biggest threat here, but the beat on Reflect can mitigate some of that damage. Once more, high pace on these fights, going straight in, and now the bike explosion does decent damage, but solo HP is the Malga next to finding the first Tungwa, and it has to be survivability for Kevin, but the healing isn't quite enough.
The beat's late!
The beat, it's a bit too late, but it does mitigate that damage on Dissosion ultimate. Solo HP is Shindahe, and Snowdrop with the final blow. It's going to be a 1-out fight again for Ragnarok Norway, not saving their tank, but saving the rest of their players. Tengwan takes down Nexty though, but I mean, investing Xion ultimate is Tengwan. Are they going to get anything on this? Is it just to make it to the point?
They're looking to get back here. 90% on the board for Norway. Just trying to hold on, make sure that the cavalry can come back. Kevin has come back now to the objective, and Snowdrop's close to this 3 to try and get something here. Mitsuki is going to allow a pocket for Sheep to play in, but Sheep's already down so low, and now as soon as that Sanctuary expires, it's going to be a devastating attack onto that Malga. Staying alive for the moment, but Corpy's now in trouble, down so low. The spree comes in, the chain's perfect from Lonely, but it doesn't mitigate the damage onto himself. Snowdrop again with the bike, taking out Tengwan, and eventually you're going to be able to get through. Shindahe going down to Snowdrop. Reflect taking out Tenhuan, but It was a lot closer than I think Norway would have liked it to be for that first foray into the objective. Tanghwan and Shindahe struggling to get really too much control over the DPS line. Kevin going in on that Malga and doing a lot of damage, but Snowdrop once again, as was the case consistently for Team Norway in their games in the World Cup, coming in and doing a lot.
Yeah, just has those combos nailed down. That bike impact into fast explosion does so much, and looking so clean on that Shion. I think there's a lot to be said about Ryan's Anran as well. Just finding nice off angles, comboing with that Malga to get the extra wound. It puts so much like pressure on the backline on Corpy and Lonely, and Corpy hit a lovely chain onto the Shion, but unfortunately, as you said, didn't mitigate the damage. Kevin soaks up so much pressure and gets just enough sustain most of the time with that Kiriko Suzu and the healing and obviously the cardiac overdrive as well. So nice work from Norway, but it was close, and the Cassidy switch here from Shindahe maybe a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, it should be able to slow down the oppressive attack as well, but it doesn't stop the amount of damage that Kevin is able to shove through onto that cast. Going down low though is Kevin, has to be careful, is going to get away, and Snowdrop's going to clean up everything else, mop and bucket style. 3 kills to end it out, and a team kill rings out for Norway as they take first control over that.
I just think they're so hard to pin down here. Snowdrop on the Shion and Ryan on Anran, they're 2 of the hardest dive, like off-angle flex DPS to kill, because Anran has the overhealth with the ultimate, or the Rares has the double movement and the invulnerability for a moment. Snowdrop gets the extra HP as Kevin's jumped through for 2. Instantly, I'll shut up because Ryan Tret's got a 3rd. And it was just a snowballed fight here. Instant door. It's tough here for Boundary Breakers to get out of their spawn. The pace is being brought to them by Ragnarok Norway. They're always in their face.
Yeah, Shindahe tried to take an aggressive angle early, went down incredibly low, formed out, and Kevin just says, yeah, we're not going to allow you to reset here before this fight. Both cardiac overdrives invested, but it's a beautiful boot from Reflect, not allowing Sheep to get back into the spawn doors. There is a lot of charge for that cage fight for Sheep, but if you can't get out of spawn, you're not really going to be able to do too much with it. Kevin's able to take down Lonely as well. It's going to be a lonely time waiting for the spawn to come back through. Snowdrop with that spree and Nexty with the Kitsune Rush to be able to take here. Looking to be really oppressive here is Reflect, but hindered out. The chain is going to do everything. Lonely takes him down, and the rest of the team really have to lick their wounds and get back now for Team Norway. An aggressive engage from Sheep after using that cage fight, but still having a lot in on the cards for Team Norway. Now the Kitsune Rush invested. Have they bought enough time to come back here? Snowdrop doesn't care. Snowdrop finds 2 with a 3. Looking for a 3rd now onto Shindahe. Kevin's going to clean it up. And Snowdrop does find the 3rd eventually in this fight. The team kill once again. And the kite was absolutely perfect from Norway after losing Reflect early.
I was on the train the other day, and I found a 20-minute YouTube video of just like it was a Team Liquid scrim VOD with some Shion gameplay. I don't think I've seen Shion gameplay this good since watching that VOD. Snowdrop looks so good, but Corpy onto Reflect early doors. Lucio once again getting over aggressive. The beat is not available, but the cage is. Here comes the rush on the other side. The Anaron gets high damage, but 10-1 finds first. Ryan Trek with the invulnerability to burn through, gets the 2nd as well, but Kevin and Snowdrop combined with the other 2. The dead Deadpool gets 2. Shindahe keeps it close.
It's not enough.
Kevin with the final blow.
Reflect beating into the void.
It comes back a little bit too late for his team, but it's nice work there from Norway.
Yeah, and being able to get it done without the Lucio in both of those last 2 fights. The kite, absolutely perfect for the previous fight, and then this one, the overwhelming power of that Phoenix dive in from that on run of Reinstrike being able to take over once again. But Snowdrop looks devastating on this Shion. It looks like it's way too much for Boundary Breakers to deal with. And on a map that was a bit more enclosed, like well, being able to get those quick eliminations and snowball those fights, it was so difficult for Boundary Breakers to even break the boundary of the spawn doors.
Yeah, I feel like we finally have some time to breathe as well and talk about this game a little bit, because the pace on that one was so high. Norway were always in their face. I think, yeah, the selection of Anran and Shion, it means you get so much damage potential, and it's the high burst from the Shion, but the constant tickle from the Anran that means you're never comfortable, and also they're super hard to pin down. I think Anran's super hard to punish because of the double mobility. You can go in, you can go invincible for a moment and dash back out with a 2nd movement cooldown that comes back so fast. In the meantime, you're getting a little bit of burn going with your Malga, who gets some crit as well with that burn, and it's just so so hard to find anything. And in the meantime, Snowdrop's coming in on the Cheyenne with a bike in your face, with an execution dash, and it's so hard to find any health. It's Reflect who is the only one really making mistakes for Ragnarok Norway, and when you're playing the Lucio, you can afford to come back so fast that it's not too bad in the end. That Norway did a nice job when they lost him early to make it their way back to point and fight further back defensively, allowing him to come back. He did get picked in the start of the next fight too, and didn't get to use the beat, but it didn't matter in the end because of the way they managed those ultimates.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a little bit of worry for me for Norway in terms of one of the fights that they took on Ruins. They invested 3 of the 4 ultimates that they had up at the time. And that felt like it could have been a downfall later on in the match. Obviously, they were able to see it out. And then on Well as well, it's a lot better of making sure those ultimates were invested at the right times. It looked like Shindar Hair might have been able to get the crucial kills with that Death Blossom at the end, but Kevin's just about able to shut it down. And that Anron, we've seen her sort of slowly come up more and more. And you think about the composition that Boundary Breakers are running, that Malga composition, where you're running with that Reaper as well. The supports are going to want to be near you. The Mitsuki's not going to want to be too far away so that everyone's in the healing aura. Everyone's going to be closed in. And when you think of that fire dash, that dance to be able to go invincible, but also it hits everyone in the area. And when there's so many people clumped together, it's just going to get so much consistent damage that's harder and harder to deal with the longer the fight goes on, because also it means that they're set ablaze for that Malga of Kevin to be able to land those crits a little bit easier. And by the time you've dealt with the Unrun, like you said, you've got Snowdrop in your face with that bike, with that execution, and even just the consistent damage that Snowdrop was getting without using the abilities was just a little bit too much for Boundary Breakers to deal with. I wouldn't be surprised if they go onto a second map that's a bit more wide open, a bit longer sightlines to be able to nullify a little bit the effect that the Unrun and the Shion were able to get onto them.
Yeah, I think you have to play something different here because they were just... it wasn't a full mirror comp, but the concepts of the comps were very similar, and I think they were just losing out on that fight. I think, especially again on the Anran note, the major pug as well with that healing when they're all clumped up, you just go back up to full instantly. It's really difficult, and they do... I would like to see them pick something that allows them to play something different, maybe moving towards some dive or some... I mean, you can play Malga in a poke comp with Anran anyway because of the range on that shot, so maybe it's not even poke. I think it kind of has to be something divey, maybe some escort here. You could potentially get away with push as well, but I think Flashpoint is the biggest mistake they could make.
Yeah, it's going to be King's Row. The more things change, the more things stay the same. No Neon Junction for us today, and we have our bands ready as well, so we will go over and see what is decided to be taken out the composition. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mitsuki taken away. Kiriko banned out by the Boundary Breakers. Okay, this is a big shakeup because the amount of times that Kiriko's really been at the forefront of the meta was when the 2 was created. And the 2's not even there anymore, and she's still here. So it's been a long time that she's been at the forefront of the meta. The Sombra ban out on the other side, I wouldn't be too surprised to see that doesn't really do too much to dampen the spirits of either team once again. But I mean, let's talk about that Kiriko ban, because that really affects what is going to be played by both these teams.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm really not a fan of this map selection unless something like the Malga was banned out. I didn't even think about banning out the Kiriko because it's such a brave call to say we're not going to play this character who is such a staple for probably our team as well, but we're just making it so you can't play her either. She provides so much sustain, some decent burst damage. The Suzu is, I think, the best ability in the game, and it makes it harder to live on, for example, Amalga if you're that tank, because you can't get cleansed for that burn on the other side. You can't get cleansed from an anti. Sorry, it's so brave, it's so bold, and it could be what Boundary Breakers need. I love that they're making such a sharp call here with Sigma, Bap, and Anna as well. You provide lots of survivability on your side. On the other side, we've got the Jetpack Cap back, and
that is a team composition of all time. That is certainly a composition of all time. I'm interested to see. Yeah, potentially. I'm interested to see the Baptiste because there's been a lot of talk in the pro communities and the higher up communities in general about what is going on with Baptiste. Just the consistency isn't quite there for him to be in over Kiriko in really any situation, but I mean, banning out the Kiriko is exactly what you need to get Baptiste in here, and it is going to provide a substantial amount of sustain for Sheep trying to take those angles. A quick shot for Snowdrop and then potentially back onto that Shion, exactly what's going to happen. And they're going to be looking to really play aggressive here, play some oppressive Overwatch and try and get forward, but Reinstrike going down immediately, not being able to live on that Vendetta, sent away by Sheep, and now next he has to be careful on this Jetpack Cat as well. And the first phrase don't go quite as well as they would have liked for Norway.
Yeah, I mean, you ban out the Kiriko, you ban out some of that big sustain, and Ragnarok Norway have taken that as, okay, we're just going to play no sustain. We've got a Doomfist going in the backline, Nexty flying high with the Jetpack out onto Shindar here, and Wu Yang with the high damage from Reflect. It's a much higher damage composition, and you can see the value there as Tangwan's brought down low, but the Sigma of Sheep is getting such high value, such big damage, and hogging this high ground. The Vendetta comes through, Reinstrike looking good, yeah, but Kevin on Corpy is the big kill.
Yeah, and Corpy being found in between the three squishies there. Shindar here is going to come back, but comes back to the rest of the team not being anywhere near him. Kevin eventually finally getting that kill. It's so oppressive, the amount of pressure that this team is able to put in from multiple angles. They just collapse everywhere onto this team. Now Kevin going onto the high ground, just knocking Sheep back a little bit, making sure that no space can be gained whatsoever by this composition that lacks a little bit of mobility. Kevin's able to find one, but Tengwan finds Nexty. Sheep is able to take out Reinstrike as well, but here comes the Meteor Strike onto the Honor. Nothing that you can do if you're lonely, and Kevin surviving on less than 100 HP to take down Sheep. Somehow, throughout the trades, it's still Norway that come out on top.
I mean, that's some vintage Doomfist gameplay. Meteor strikes away from the Sheep Rock, flies high, lands on the immobile Ana, gets an instant pick, then punches away the tank, shoots them forward, and low HP, but gets the overhealth from that passive. It's just great work from Kevin there, noting the lack of support like he's getting really. I mean, the cat is providing good value, and there's away from Wu Yang, so finding some healing, but sitting on the cart prior, it was all Kevin there, and the rock doesn't land here for Sheep, so has to be careful, does it, good Kevin, but the Vendetta up high, swinging forward, and Tengwan has got a nice pick. Tengwan with two as well. The cast looking like a great value. Oh my goodness, a three-piece. The headshot found as well. And that is exactly what Boundary Breakers needed.
Yeah, you need someone to take over in these situations, and Tengwan bringing exactly that. Reflect with no healing. Yes, Shindar is going to go down, but you are going to get the stagger onto Reinstrike as well, so it's not exactly that bad. You look at the ults coming up for Boundary Breakers as well. Pretty much all 5 online. Kevin having switched over to this Zarya is going to be able to enable Reinstrike a little bit more on the Vendetta. Couple of ults there for Norway as well. 3 and 4 online in close succession as well for Snowdrop and Reflectors. The catnap immediately onto Sheep, taking this Sig out of the area needed. Just a little bit too late as well to be able to save with that MO field. You can see that High Noon as well invested by Tengwan doesn't find anything initially. Tidal Blast in onto Reinstrike, but not able to find the stun. Snowdrop's found one in the meantime onto Shindar here, but Nexty is fallen as well. Beautiful sleep onto Reinstrike, and the collapse is perfect. It is only Kevin left, but how much can you do here on the Zarya with the rest of the team flooding back to the Boundary Breakers?
I think Tengwan is looking incredible right now. The cast switch against the comp they were running at the time with the Doom especially was so good. It's slightly weaker with Kevin switching over to the Zarya, but when you're hitting all these shots, it doesn't really matter if you're not hindering people with those nades as much, because you've still got the Vendetta to target and the Shion and the cat, but now no cats on Alari instead. Looking for some more damage on the other side. Reflect, picking up some speed for both Kevin and Reinstrike will be really nice.
Yeah, but you look at the ult bank that's here for the Boundary Breakers. They should be able to hold fairly well here. As initially that engage from Reinstrike, the Nano goes in onto Shindar here, able to take out Reflect, and Kevin falls immediately as well. Snowdrop still finding value. 3 kills straight back for Norway as it's Nexty and Snowdrop to find the damage. Shindar here goes down to Snowdrop as well. And now it's only Sheep who does fall. Snowdrop does everything. Reinstrike gets the final kill, but somehow they claw it out. The DPS of Norway managing to make it through. And they are going to be able to capture second here.
Sucks for Shindar here, who got 2 massive picks and then wasted the Death Blossom. I think thought someone else would be closer to get value out of it, and Snowdrop solo HP, gets the execution just in time. This time it's Shindar here looking to find it, and in the end wins out that fight. So some revenge there for the Reaper, but I mean, not enough to prevent the capture in the first place. Now going up on the high ground, following on from Sheep's rock kill onto Reinstreit. Juno is escaping, but here comes the Reaper on the tail. Gonna back away from that one is Shindar here. So Reflect gets away to safety, which is nice for Reflect, but stuck in spawn right now are Norway.
Nexi's gone over to the Lifeweaver and is sticking with it to 40% at the very least. Beautiful wall by Snowdrop, and it counters out that amplification matrix as well from Corpy. 2 now fallen for Boundary Breakers. Yes, Nexi is gone, but the rest of the team is being freed through now by Reinstreit. Lonely should be the next one to fall, and yes, Tengwan manages to get a trade onto Reflect, so the support's not going to be there for Norway, but they're going to look to take this next fight aggressively as well. Not quite enough height for Snowdrop to get over onto the higher ground, but not going to matter too much. Then Yasa's switch from Corpy is interesting. Going to be amplifying this poke damage, so this comp is going to be able to provide. Sheep getting aggressed here early by Reinstreit, but able to survive it. Gets the flux off onto Kevin, who isn't going to be taken down too low. I say that, but Shindar is able to convert the kill. Tenghwan gets one before being immediately traded, but now the rest of the team is able to progress forwards, and it's only going to be Reflect and Snowdrop getting back to spawn with their lives.
The Zen switch is fascinating here. I think it's a bad call against the Vendetta Zarya comp. I don't think you get too much value, especially if you're getting blown up by Snowdrop's headshot there. The May is a really cool switch up. I didn't even notice it come through. He's already built up the Blizzard, so great value there from Snowdrop. He's going to come through with ults, and they have 3 coming up to 5 for Norway versus, I mean, 3 from the Boundary Breakers, so definitely value on either side. The May wall is lovely, but it gets broken out early. Here comes a big grab through the Deadeye. It's on the other side, but Tengwan not going to get anything forward. The Death Blossom though returns fire, and it's a 3-piece in the end because Shindar here combines with Sheep, and they've stayed alive here. Behind the payload is the 6 sitting, and Shindar here looking so good on this Reaper. It's just Reflect left to die, and 2 came out from Norway, and it was 2 from the Boundary Breakers, and they won out the fight in the end.
The dying gift of the Nano from Lonely is what wins that fight. Onto Shindar here, being able to convert those kills eventually. They have found the Reaper early here, though. It's going to force out that Wraith form, and once again, these Snowdrop walls have consistently broken the sightlines of the supports too much. It's going to be an immortality in the form of that Transcendence, but the Blizzard is too much from Snowdrop onto Sheep, and a second perfect headshot onto Lonely. Shindar here now back into the backline. Does find both of the supports of Norway, so there's not going to be any healing here for this team as Reinstreit looks a little bit isolated, has to grab the health pack. Shindar here now looking to get back onto the objective, but Kevin's going to blow it up immediately. 10 seconds left. It is going to be a capture for Team Norway, but it was looking very ropey, and really Boundary Breakers building into this matchup, doing really, really well to really mitigate what was quite a quick start from Team Norway.
Yeah, I mean, you're happy with the full push, happy with the full push, absolutely, but breaking it down to overtime is nice work from the Boundary Breakers. I think Shindar Hair's Reaper is such a threat, and Tengwan looking really nice on the Cassidy too. The Zen switch, I think, ended up working because that Transcendence delayed some extra time, but I'm not sure if it was the play to bring into this attacking side. For Norway, I think they're playing really well overall. Snowdrop looking versatile across multiple characters and picking up good kills, good walls from the May as well, a nice Blizzard too, so comfortable with that kit. It's tough here for the Boundary Breakers, but they have done a good job to bring it to overtime.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to mirror the Zarya going into their attacking side. The Sig not really being able to take the space quite as consistently, and that means that you're going to be able to invest even more into Shindar Hair's Reaper, which really is what we should be looking at in terms of what's going to happen on the attacking side, at least to start off with for the Boundary Breakers.
Yeah, and we need a little bit more, I think, from the Death Blossoms too. That can be easier when you get bubbled by Sheep, so definitely a big threat. You can do the super obvious telegraph Death Blossom, and there's nothing they can really do about it if they bubble the timing well with Sheep. Corpy has his Zen mirrored by Reflect, so those discords are clearly something to be respected on both sides. They're thinking it's high value for the lack of healing, and TP'd up high with that bubble is the Reaper, so already getting some aggression early doors, and that's the value of the Zen there. The right click to the face of Nexty.
You have lost your chosen champion in Reinstreit taking out Shindar Hair, but the trades are coming through once again. Snowdrop just about surviving with the help of a bubble from Kevin, but Sheep's taking the aggressive angle here. And look at the charge that the Zarya has. They're able to get in onto the objective now, waiting for the rest of the team to come back is Team Norway, and it's going to be difficult for them to break this chokehold and get back into this first objective. Realistically, this archway should be difficult to maintain, but Kevin's able to bubble in Reinstrike to at least put some pressure onto the supports now. That wall just not quite hitting for Snowdrop, and that form timing perfect once again for Shindaher. Now the aggression once again for Reinstrike, but the anti is perfect from Lonely, and now they can aggress once again. Kevin's taking down Shindaher, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. The DPSs that are the marked ones are not going to be in there. Tenguan takes down Reflect in the backline while they've been trying to deal with Sheep, and the Transcendence is a perfect timing to see them through this fight. Snowdrop has to invest that Icebox form, and now that Nano in is going to take down Corpy surely, but no! Somehow Corpy survives, and Sheep is able to take down 2. Really? How have you let that Zenyatta live in that tight angle?
I think that isn't just the Zen either. They let Sheep live when they got the perfect wall from Snowdrop, and while they were trying to focus on bringing down Sheep, which they didn't manage to do so, Tenguan was pushing forwards, finding a pick, and then also putting high value onto Snowdrop, who was forced to the icebox. Then the Transcendence comes through from Corpy, and it's returned by a Nano on next to onto Kevin, but Kevin can't find any value. Then the Nano from Lonely is invested, which provides some survivability and sustain, and that damage in the end, the potential comes through, and you're right, then Corpy doesn't get found, and that's really a deal breaker for Ragnarok Norway, who can't defend that site.
Yeah, now you have both grabs online. You do have the Blizzard for Snowdrop, which should be a bit more effective than when you're looking at Tenguan's ultimate here. That grab is good, but Tenguan, I said it. I said it wouldn't really do too much. I was completely wrong. 2 kills for that Deadeye, and Sheep and Tenguan able to finish it off as well. 4 on the fight for Tenguan, taking over once again on this cast that really looks just so consistent.
Yeah, I think we might have found a comfort pick here, because, I mean, Cassidy's definitely strong in the meta, don't get me wrong, but also the character has been out the entire time the game's been around, and Tenguan showing why he's on that character. It's mirrored by Reinstrike, but instantly domed as he walked out the first time, so looking to have a better look of things this time round. Next to onto the jetpack cat, so mirroring that defensive comp is still Zen, but they have the Transcendence. They have to contest here. If they're going to make it in time, they've not made it in time. They've allowed the
They've
to come through.
Okay.
And
yeah,
they've invested the Transcendence too. That's about as bad as it gets if you're Ragnarok Norway. It'd be even worse if your Zarya falls here, but surviving is Kevin, and the Bastion from Snowdrop provides a lot of covering fire as they look to back away here.
You're really threatening now this Death Blossom from Shindaher, which maybe has left a lot to be desired previously, but the bubble doesn't come through, and Nexty and Reflex are able to take down that Reaper, take down the threat early. Cookie's able to trade out onto Reinstrike, but surely with the damage you should be able to do, should take down Snowdrop, but no, the Transcendence once again, perfect timing for Corpy, and now you're taking the aggressive angle onto your opposite number, able to win out the fight onto Reflect, and once again, Boundary Breakers looking like they're in a desperate situation, able to flip the fight with the use of perfect ultimates.
Yeah, this Transcendence has been a fight flipper twice now. Corpy looking so good on this end, but Lonely surely doomed to die here in the Bastion ultimate. Does he have a survive?
No, survives!
Oh my goodness, Snowdrop can't quite find the final blow. And look at this cast play, goes under with the Deadeye, here it comes. Fly Noon finds one, the nade finds a second, and it's a shot onto the third. Snowdrop gets the final blow. Nexty now dealing with the Reaper, who TPs to safety, but can't quite get around the corner, and Reinstrike gets the final blow, and finally we're seeing some value from the cast pick on the side of Ragnarok Norway as the stagger comes through onto Sheep as well, but does get that group respawn with the Reaper, who still has that Death Blossom available. We still have a Nano boost, we still have a Deadeye too. This bubble from Sheep has to be huge here as the grab is close as well.
Yeah, look, these ultimates that are coming or are already online for Boundary Breakers should be able to push them through this objective if they use them correctly, and we've seen them really come up clutch with some of these ultimates in the past. That third tier perk for Lonely putting a lot of damage onto Reflect. He's had to back away just a little bit. Now you look at Reinstrike out in the open, maybe the positioning can be taken away from you. Just about able to survive is Shindaher, but Tenguan has taken down Nexty, and now you've found Snowdrop as well. 2 big picks, and now with the ults that they have as well, should be able to run over Team Norway. No bubbles left for Kevin, who holds on to the grab, but really how much time are you going to be able to buy if you are the rest of Team Norway? Absolutely nothing. Nexy's not even able to get that catnap off. Snowdrop can't leave the spawn, and 3 minutes 13 compared to a minute. Boundary Breakers looking in a really healthy position to take this back to 1-1 overall and make sure Kings Row falls in their favor.
Yeah, it took me until just then to realize that they didn't even take it to overtime in the first. It was actually 11 seconds left, but it doesn't matter here. It's only a minute on the clock, and that's a beautiful push from Boundary Breakers. It looked like the Nano was a little bit fumbled there. They kited it well, but Corpi, I believe, got a pick on the Zen, and that was once more the fight turner. Corpi has found so many picks here and also gets such good value from the Transcendence. It's such a nice use of the Zen, and it's the enabler for Tengwan to push forward and get some final blows when your Zen's providing a Discord or that extra body shot, that extra headshot from, I mean, no fall off. It's the same with the Ana with the crit perk as well. There's no damage fall off on that. It means you can go forward aggressively with a Reaper, with a Zarya, and they're lower health, they're more panicked. Nexy, I think the Jetpack Cat was a fascinating choice into a comp that had a Cass who was hitting so many shots and Discords as well that could make you even more vulnerable as a little flying cat. It wasn't quite coming to fruition for Ragnarok Norway, no matter what they changed to, and I think Boundary Breakers now looking for something better on the defense side too.
It feels like Nexy and Reflect really haven't found consistency in terms of what they've been able to do on the support lineup without the Kiriko, and really we were questioning what this ban would do, and it looks like it's absolutely taken the wind out of the sails of Team Norway, trying to siege here. Team from China going up to the high ground early with the use of that TP from Reinstrike. Sheep just going to back away, but the rest can't be said for Tengwan, and this is exactly what you need as a team with the lower time back. You need an early capture to be able to force some overtime push here, as the 3 minutes really should be enough to get a fair way in terms of the attacks that the Boundary Breakers have just had. Kevin forcing pressure on the angle, and Shindar here going down later on in the fight really should give them the ability to take a lot of the space.
Yeah, that's absolutely the look you need if you are Ragnarok Norway, completely changing it up. This time it's Snowdrop on the Cassidy, but it's all about that Symmetra teleport with Kevin Stigma moving forward as a big wall of health with that shield barrier too, and the damage comes through from the Cassidy of Snowdrop. Nexty as well, able to rise some speed, some sustain with Reflect as well, providing a lot of AoE healing, so they managed to make it through and forward, but the Stigma now vulnerable to that Zarya beam, can't suck it up, so has to rely on the care of his supports, but higher healing again from Nexty and Reflect in this rendition of their comp. It allows them to push further forward. They made it under the bridge. Now that TP is functionally bait here as they look to kill it down. The rock lands.
Oh, it's beautiful accretion. Shindar hair falls. And the overtime wick's burning, but really it doesn't look like the pressure's there for Team Ragnarok Norway. They're doing absolutely what they need to be able to cycle things here. The nano could be massive though onto Sheep. 100 charge should be able to burn down everyone immediately. Kevin falls, and the rest of their team really just scattered around it. Reflect's able to find one, but really how much can you do on the Mitsuki here? Absolutely nothing as the grab comes out, and it is going to be a fairly good push for a minute left. As really they were quite close to taking that fight there. 10-1 was down really low, and Sheep was really not far off death either, so good job attacking with the limited amount of time that they had left for Team Norway. Unfortunately, the ult's coming on at the perfect time for the Boundary Breakers if you are a fan of Team Norway, but at least you get into the streets phase. At least you weren't held at the doors of that first objective, but now the task is a lot more difficult to keep this Boundary Breakers team at bay for that full 3 minutes and 13 seconds.
Yeah, it's a great push considering they had a minute, but that consideration still comes through. And it's in the end, when you got 3 and 13 for Boundary Breakers, it should be relatively simple for them to capture first point. And unable to round that final streets corner means Ragnarok Norway have a hard defensive job here, as they didn't quite give themselves enough meterage to be comfortable with their defensive spot, but definitely made it doable, and that's the big play here. As we see a Genji from Shindaya, this is cool. I like this as a switch up with Zarya. It's a bit more, I mean, this is such an old team composition, it feels like. These are all characters you could see, I think back in, I mean, Ana was the first released, and then other than that, they're all from launch. And on the other side, we have the stick with the Mei, and they're sticking with the Mizuki Juno, so looking for some speed and some healing as opposed to that damage of the Zen.
Yeah, looking like it's an Overwatch classic game for Boundary Breakers as they progress towards the hotel, taking that fight early. Obviously, they don't have the TP from the Symmetra, but Reinstright's been found with a lot of damage, has to force a cryo freeze, but immediately comes out swinging, gets the headshot onto Corpy as Sheep is now aggressing from that angle. Kevin's not able to stay alive, but they trade out onto Sheep as well. Tangwan with the fadeaway, but Nexy's going to be able to do the damage needed. And Reinstrike really, alongside Snowdrop, making sure they can hold this at least for now. They need to find the stagger hit onto Shindahe, and that's exactly what they get to be able to buy time for the rest of Norway to get back.
Yeah, Snowdrop's aim is so good. That's a beautiful find there, especially onto Shindahe, who switched over to the Reaper, that final blow. And the key point there was them trading out their tanks straight away. They lost Kevin early, but found Sheep as that return fire almost instantly, so able to turn that fight from here. And here comes Sheep further forward. And gets Reinstrike early as beam charge. He's so much damage.
Just caught sleeping in the cryo prod on the Mei. As Reflect is going to go down low as well. Can't quite find it with the dire triggers, but surely Shindahe is going to be able to aggress this. So Reflect has taken this TP, getting aggressively back. Snowdrop from the high ground trying to rain down some bullets, but not really much you can do to aggress what should be a really good defensive angle here for Boundary Breakers. And now you're looking at the exact scenario that we were worried about for Team Norway, being able to hold this with a minute and a half left. They've choked down half of this, but really, look at the ults that haven't been invested by Boundary Breakers. It should be able to bring them over the line if they invest them well.
Yeah, they've killed a lot of time here, but you're right, the ult shot is up for Boundary Breakers. That grab will be huge with the nano as well. They have so much coming forward. On the other side, they're far away from Kevin, but the rest of the ults they're either on or close to, so it could be a big ult fight upcoming soon. Snowdrop looking precise from that castle, but ran down by Shindahe, who has to race away, gets away from that hinder. It's huge. The Deadeye is now invested. Sheep backs away. The skulls come through. Is he going to get any connections? Not quite. And the nano onto the right. Oh, there's one of them.
Oh, Lonely Pizza in the final second! The nano, though, is invested onto Shindahe, and it's monumental in the grab. Nothing you can do about it. You can't even do any damage on the other side. The Transcendence from Corpy just to seal the fate of Team Norway. Surely they don't get back here in time. You see Snowdrop and Kevin switch over immediately. Reflect here on the Lucio to try and speed them back as well. Nexy on the Cat. Is someone going to be able to get through here? No, it's not quite there. In fact, they actually get there. But the Death Blossom is on point from Shindahe. And the next touch is not going to be available. Boundary Breakers just about getting it over the line. With the ults to break through the wall of Team Norway, there's going to be 1-1 in this show match, and what looks like it could be a really, really good back and forth here between these two teams.
Yeah, I think Reaper is one of my favorite characters to make use of those four ultimates, because I mean he's actually run out of nano by this time this all comes through, but I mean how do you live in a grab with a Reaper in your face and all that damage? But it's just with a nano or a Kitsune Rush, he with his own lifesteal, he makes so much good use of, I mean, especially in nano boost, you get that damage reduction and that bonus damage, so you're taking less and you're healing more. It makes you a tank in many ways. If you're up close and personal, it's a bit like fighting Amalga, who does even more damage from that Reaper. And Shindahe not having his best performance overall, but in those big moments is able to close it out. And that's really the story there for Boundary Breakers. And Ragnarok Norway did a really nice job of bringing it down to, I believe, sub a minute when that final capture was brought through. But in the end, there's too many ults, there's too much high damage potential for them to deal with. And the Boundary Breakers take us 1-1. And I mean, clearly showing us why they picked King's Row, but I think it was that Kiriko ban that made it so tough for Norway, who only really stabilized on a support line in like the overtime rounds when they had that Juno Mitsuki. It was the best look they had, but they didn't figure that out until too late on. So now with the Kiriko back in the pool, it could be advantage Norway, but with the way Boundary Breakers are playing, it could be advantage them.
Yeah, well, I believe we've got our next map available for us, so we'll see where we're going to next. There's Ragnarok Norway are going to be the ones picking it. It's going to be Circuit Royale, so long sight lines here to make use of the aim that Snowdrop has had consistently over the course of these first two maps. And I'd be surprised if you don't try and invest Snowdrop really here as Hitscan, who has looked very impressive over Ilios and King's Row. Obviously a bit more up close and personal on that Cass, on that Shion, but if you're hitting heads like that, you might be able to get away with something a bit more long range like that Ashe, maybe even onto the Widowmaker on circuit, which we've still seen consistently. We've seen both tanks maybe switch over to the Sigma to be able to control the space a little bit on Circuit Royale, and that Mitsuki once again just lines up so well with the Sigma, the CC that you're able to do with that chain into the accretion. I mean, you can kill someone outright immediately there, even if it's a tank on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting to me here what Norway have chosen, maybe forgetting a little bit how they won Ilios and picking something completely different, but perhaps they have a strong ban in mind and a good game plan coming forward, confident with their hit scan. But on the other side, it's not like the hit scans of Boundary Breakers were anything to scoff at. So if we see like an Ashe or a Widow or something like along those lines, both sides can get high damage potential. I honestly think Norway should ban out a Zen here. There we go. Because the Discord was making it so hard for their own tank to live, and then also those right clicks coming through from Boundary Breakers providing so much damage. It was just and the Transcendences too, sorry, there was just so much played well on that Zen. So I think this is, especially on circuit, a perfect ban. On the other side, I don't know what it looks like. Malga, sure, makes sense, but a little bit, to me, questionable using this Malga ban here and not saving it for later.
Yeah, it feels like you're just really investing to playing that Sig Mitsuki composition instead of really thinking like it's probably going to be played anyway, and maybe investing that ban onto something more longer range. But we'll see what they decide to do. Maybe just shades of Ilios still caught in the minds of the players of Boundary Breakers with that on-run Malga being able to terrify them. But as we look towards Circuit Royale, we're going to see in just a second what these two teams are cooking up for our third map of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd be surprised with how strong Sigma is in the meta right now and how he's always been a relatively strong pick on circuit if we don't get at least one Sigma here. I think a Ramatra could potentially come through on the attacking side, but no, it is going to be Sigmas on both sides, and there's going to be a Hanzo too. I think Hanzo is always strong just because of that one-shot potential. I think if you can find those blows with the bow and arrow, then there's nothing you can really do about it. On the other side, Snowdrop's Widowmaker is something I'm excited to see.
Yeah, both teams as well gonna be looking to put a massive amount of damage out from their support line. The Yari Baptiste is just able to supplement the damage so consistently that you can go with something like that Widow, like that Hanzo, where maybe you don't have as much consistency, but you're really coming through with the picks that you're going to be able to force. You see Shindar Hair peeking that angle with the Hanzo, looking out for that grapple shot as well that could have been there on the other side, but not going to be forced. Snowdrop going back rounds and taking a more defensive angle to start off with, as they're not going to fight this first corner, and the TP here from Reinstrike in aggressively again is going to be difficult to deal with for Sheep. Now you can see Snowdrop onto that high ground looking for a pick here, shows the hand, tries to find something, a bit of damage onto Sheep, but really not too much doing. But they've taken this bridge control to start off with, have Norway. Sheep able to find Nexty in the Chaos though, and now without Uriari, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. TP into the backline, trying to find something here. Accretion lands onto Sheep, but able to sustain through it are the support line of Boundary Breakers. Now you look at Kevin trying to hold firm, takes the rock to deflect for the Sigma, make sure that that overhealing can come through, but the headshot there from Shindar Hair, saw it coming, making sure that that's there, but Snowdrop shuts it down immediately. 1-for-1 with the headshots from the longer sight line. Snowdrop finds a second as well. No DPS now online for Tenhwan, but Sheep is able to find the kill onto the opposing tank. Kevin has gone down, and now you have to find the kills onto the supports to mean that you can go forwards here. Really difficult to take this angle against the Niori and a Baptiste. It looks like they are just going to try and hold firm here, Boundary Breakers.
Yeah, gets away from the... never mind, the grapple's not available, so the Flux comes through, finds two, but the lamp is perfect there from the Baptiste, and the sustain comes through, keeps him alive here. It's all about the Widowmaker for Ragnarok Norway in terms of winning that first fight, and now has the sight lines too, so can look for a further headshot.
Oh, it's beautiful!
Grapple on the
Oh, Snowdrop, you can't be doing this!
beautiful. Finds the headshot onto the Sig as well. Looks for a third angle. Doesn't quite land it, but so much threat from the Widowmaker. Grapples forward. Has another angle. Has another sight line. The Alari is creeping around the corner. Is Snowdrop going to find it? Come on. There it is.
Of course.
Snowdrop on
Did
the
you even have to
Widowmaker.
ask the question? Did you even have to ask the question, Sam? Of course Snowdrop's going to find it. Doesn't quite find the grapple shot over the top, but it's enough for Ragnarok Norway to take with over 4 minutes on that first objective. We said how well this player has played over the first 2 maps, but I don't think even I expected so much consistency from the headshots of the Widowmaker.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, Carpe retired yesterday, and what we're seeing here, I think we found the second coming. Tengwan disruptor shot forward. Kevin's very low HP, has to back away, has the flux available, and here comes the captive sun on one side, and looking for some targets. Does land, I believe, on something, but maybe it's got to have the shield. No, there it is, and that's the explosion, but the lamp is perfect from the front and finds the final blow onto the opposing number. Corpy down.
Yeah, but Tengwan's been able to shut down the man of the moment, Snowdrop. Now Nexi investing that captive sun. Goes down solo, but able to survive. Now it's all on the shoulders of Tengwan to find something with this overclock. But they kited it really well of Norway. The only thing fallen is going to be that turret of Nexi, and now with the use of that gravitic flux, Sheep does go down. Nexi's able to find Tengwan as well. It really looks like the snowball is going to be there off the back of Snowdrop's initial kills, being able to fight forwards once again. Our team Norway looks like they're going to be able to take second without too much resistance.
Yeah, Lonely's lamp missing onto a Sigma. I don't know if that was a massive game changer. I think Sheep might have been going in the end anyway, but that was certainly a nail in the coffin as the cap comes through as well. They can't contest in time. Shindo here hits another headshot, but I believe that might have been a Storm Arrow one, so survivability is there for Ragnarok as they invest this window. Next he takes down the pylon and looking to take down a person too. Sheep's so low, but back on the corner. The lamp has been forced out though, and there's a flex onto Sheep in the end.
Yeah, it's oppressive really, the aggression that they're taking. They put down their immortality and the amplification matrix to turn the corner, and then they just decide, you know what, we don't need this, we're going to fight forwards once again. Kevin now trying to put pressure onto the poolside area, making sure there's not really too much space for Tengwan. Make sure to really isolate a little bit, reflect away from the Sigma, but now creeping up onto the angle is Snowdrop, not needed on that second objective, but looking onto third now, has the sights through, just misses onto Tengwan, sliding back into the line of fire. Dragon's invested by Shindai here is going to catch Reflect off guard. She's able to find a amount of damage as well onto Snowdrop. Down low on the high ground, can't really peek to really help with this aggressive angles being taken by Kevin. Just trying to get back in here. 94% to this flux, but it's already online for Sheep. As now you push forwards once more. The rest of the team hasn't gone with Sheep though, so has to back up, invest all of the shield and the kinetic grasp. But Nexi's fallen, found Shindai here in the meantime. That Yari taking this so much aggression from Team Norway. She's found Brian Trite, and now this captive sun trying to find something here. But the shield is perfect from Kevin. Once again, blocking out the sun. Nexi finds the opposing number. Not quite able to find the shutdown onto that gravitic flux, but at least gives Kevin the high ground to fight against Sheep here. Kinetic grasp is going to help as well. And now this Nexi's shut down once again with a captive sun. Everything's happening. None of the ults are finding any kills. Now you've got this gravitic flux here. Doesn't find a kill onto Shindar here. And you've got this amplification matrix as well from Lonely, but they don't find a kill, so eventually Snowdrop is going to go down, but it's only to a Storm Arrow from Shindar here. Now the amplification matrix still there on the other side. Everything's happening, and somehow I'm still talking. Kevin's found by Tengwan, and finally this overclock should deal with it in the end. The first ult to find a kill, finds the second as well. Both supports down for Team Norway, and I'm going to take that as a time to take a break.
I think that, I mean, I'm out of breath, and I wasn't even talking there. That was an unbelievable fight that I think, okay, Snowdrop's found Lonely, who's overextended here, but I think that might be the worst fight we've seen all day from both teams, and somehow the best as well. But so many shots missing, so many ults not connecting, so many shutdowns. I mean, a couple of Lariats blocked out. Kevin now low HP and round the corner. Have to back away from the hands though, but can they get across this? The Frost Tower invested, doesn't land on anything, and has the recon soon, has the Dragons too. Here's the Sightlines available for the Widowmaker as well, and Snowdrop, who found one pick early in this fight, looking to find a second, but no angles off, but the Dragons come through. Good for one in the first fight, but not good for one here. Sheep now dueling his opposing number, but Lonely's got Ryan right in the meantime. Sigma has to back away here. to safety for Boundary Breakers, but now can press forward with that health. And back to full, pressing high, the clock is available, the shot is there, and Snowdrop down.
Yeah, now you look at the rest of the team really just having to back up here. No Ryan tried with the sim wall. Next, he's found with that anti from Corpi as well. But 2 quick kills come back in the favor of Team Ragnarok Norway. Reflect somehow in the backline, able to take down Tenghwan and jump away to safety. Now you look at the opposing number. Lonely is going to be saved by that gravitic flux, but now you have this sim wall takes down Sheep with the help of Snowdrop. And you've got, you know exactly where they're coming from here. The nano in onto Tenghwan, just trying to enforce this, but Snowdrop finds the kill somehow, and no one else is able to touch. After some chaotics, as an understatement, on the hotel, finally Norway able to burst through after some ridiculousness. I mean, the positioning of the Baptiste from Reflect in the backline somehow got there without being found out early doors. Boundary Breakers do fall in the end, but considering how big the time bank was on third, relatively good hold, and I feel like they can be happy with how they were able to hold firm on that final objective.
I don't know what the emotions will be. Like, I think looking at it objectively, they did a really good job to hold. But then it gets to a point where you feel like you can full hold them because you're doing so well. But then the Baptiste on the other side's on the cart with his Alari supporting and hits so many precise shots, and that turns the fight in the favor of Ragnarok Norway. So Boundary Breakers will be a little bit bummed by that one. They have to look at this on an objective level. Look at the minutes that were available before, like when they captured second point, and the minutes available when they captured third, and look at how well they did to holding that and not feel too defeated by Reflect, who really showed up in the dying embers there on that Baptiste. Actually unfortunate to die there as well, dies as the lamp is procced, but I mean, it's great work from the Baptiste. You mentioned at the start of the fight, at the start of the round, sorry, that when you're playing a Baptiste Alari, you can afford to play a Widowmaker because of the damage supplemented by the supports, and we saw it come through there. It was a great attack, a great defensive hold on third point, such a slop fest, and Snowdrop now looking for the grapple shot. Can't land the grapple, can he land the shot? Hits the head, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but it's only onto Sheep though, unfortunately, for Snowdrop, so it doesn't find the kill off the back of it. And they're really going into this one-shot potential here as Weintracht has gone over Hanzo, but Tenghwan forcing the angle immediately gets the head taken clean off by Snowdrop once again, finding those one-shot kills on this Widowmaker. And now you can see exactly why they picked Circuit Royale to go to. Snowdrop's just too much for this team to be able to deal with. They're still trying to aggress the angle here as the squishies aren't really forcing too much. They have got Tenghwan back now. So Norara is going to be able to give a little bit of foresight to Snowdrop as well, who misses a few. Bit unlike Snowdrop, to be honest, with how this has gone so far, but Tenghwan has to be careful. Finds the body, but not the head, so gonna live for now. Again, finds the body, but not the head. Corpi is the next one to survive and save execution. Reflect getting a lot of burst healing in onto the rest of the team, but now Tenghwan taking the aggression onto the bridge is going to be taken down. Next, he down so low with that anti, but the shield just about saves the Iari, and now you heal back to full. Weintracht getting aggressive on the Hanzo is going to survive, able to climb the wall, and now you're just going to be able to stagger Sheep out here.
I mean, are you a Sheep going to go down? Surely in the end. The rock comes through, there's the aggression stun, that's the final blow, but I honestly think the worst thing for Boundary Breakers here is the fact that Reflect off the back of that offensive push is now seemingly in the flow state of this Baptiste, looking so clean both offensively and defensively there, providing such vital support, hitting those AoE shots and also hitting some damage bursts too, just providing so much pressure. Tenghwan has switched to the Widowmaker, crouching out, trying to spot out any angles without offering too much of his own head, knowing the speed of his opposition, finds the first angle but has to drop down. They know he's here, they have the sights available for the Widowmaker when Snowdrop wants to invest it too, and reveals his hand. The shot comes through but doesn't quite land.
Here comes the sights, and Reinstright's immediately able to take down Tenghwan.
What a
showing a bit too much. Once again, these Iari ults have been shut down really consistently by these two Sigmas. Sheep trying to stay in this, but the damage is just too much. Reflect getting aggressive once again on the Baptiste, and Boundary Breaker sent back to spawn once more.
Yeah, and Reflect now also has the window available, so managed to get two there without a window. Imagine what he's able to do with double the damage. It's so threatening. He's looking so clean on this Baptiste, and they have the dragons, they have the flocks available too, so some decent damage potential from these ultimates. On the other side, the nano can come through, but the Sigma's really the only nano target. And it doesn't really work with that flux. You have to use outside of it. Here comes the flux for Norway's side, and the dragons as well from Boundary Breakers. Not going to land anything for either way. Sigma forced to take the nade to the face. Now invests his own flux up high onto bridge, but Snowdrop and Ryan Try have combined onto the opposing numbers, winning those double duels. And now it's tough for Boundary Breakers as their tank
And
is
you've
low.
invested the nano as well. It feels like it's the perfect timing for them to find those kills. Ryan Try and Snowdrop, and now you can see that the time is going to be playing in the back of the heads of Boundary Breakers. The ticking clock just playing in the background. So now you're going to be looking to find what you can here. Tengwan going back onto that Sojourn just to try and get something, but I mean, the angle's still held by Snowdrop. You know how difficult it's going to be here. Reflect has this amplification matrix to invest as well, as Kevin's playing aggressively. The switch over onto the Zarya to try and do something, and Ryan Troy has fallen. Tengwan's able to find the first, and now you try and aggress forwards onto the high ground because of it. Shindar here trying to find some sort of pressure from the angle as well. Amplification matrix invested from Lonely to try and get something done here, but Norway know they have the time. They have the time to kite here. They can get back into this fight. Reinstein has the dragons. It should be so difficult to hold the cart here because of that. Here comes the dragons from Reinstein as Kevin goes down low, but next he's able to supplement that with some healing. Now the amplification matrix able to support Kevin on the cart, and Snowdrop once again comes through with the kill when it's absolutely needed. That nano's been built really quickly by Corpy to be able to invest onto Sheep, and somehow Sheep has stayed alive throughout all of the pressure that's going on here. Doesn't quite end up surviving though, and eventually it is going to be Team Norway that gets it done. An impressive attack, but an even more impressive defense to hold them out. Stars of the show for me, Snowdrop and Reflect, is just the consistency that you're able to get. And consistency on a Widowmaker is very hard to come by, so really respect to Snowdrop on that. But Reflect just coming in at the perfect timing to be able to make sure that Team stays alive, but also getting those crucial kills in some of those fights. Really just well done by both of those players for Team Norway, who take the 2-1 lead in our first of three. So now every single map is going to be series point for them, as Boundary Breakers do have the next pick and the next first ban. We'll see where they decide to go.
It's always nice to see a series where whoever picks the map ends up winning the map, and it's like, I know why you've done this now. I can see the decisions you've made, and I can see why you've done it. Snowdrop on that Widowmaker, 24-3 is unbelievable, especially when Tengwan was taking shots like that on the Sojourn, right? You have to play those sightlines so carefully. I think when you're not at a higher level, when you're seeing a Widowmaker play and you're thinking, I'm bad at Widowmaker, it's because of my aim, and that it's kind of the Dunning-Kruger of Widowmaker, because then you get to the highest level and it's like, you can hit all these shots, but it's about taking the right fights, and he takes so many good fights there, offers himself up at such limited times. Only 3 deaths on a Widow is crazy. You're playing it so well, especially when your opposing number switches to the Widow, and then you win out of that duel. And I mean, just overall the entire team, it wasn't just Snowdrop, there's Reflect coming through, and then on the Alari, despite the ults getting blocked as well, it is still providing good healing with that burst and some nice off damage too. It just was difficult for Boundary Breakers to break through, and they had a good defensive hold, but even their good defensive hold wasn't good enough to prevent a 3-cap from Norway, and they can't even get 1.
Yeah, and once again, Boundary Breakers really just finding that immovable object at the moment in terms of Norway. They were able to break through by the end off of that kill onto Reinstreit, but it was more of a kite from Norway than them being able to really force themselves through the angle. Norway knew that they had no more time to play with for the side of Boundary Breakers, and they knew that they could really let that go and make sure that that final fight could be taken before that first capture was going to be held. The Dragons coming back in, just really denying the space for Boundary Breakers, and then from there you've got Reflect with that amplification matrix, making sure that Kevin's never going to go down, and even with the investment of that nano onto Sheep, it's just too little too late. They're not able to do enough to get over the line, and Ragnarok Norway just feels like the more consistent team overall. You've seen sparks from Shindar Hair, you've seen sparks from Tengwan, but it doesn't feel like they can do it to a consistent level as we've seen from the likes of Reflect, from the likes of Snowdrop, Reinschreit, from the likes of Kevin. It feels like Ragnarok Norway just feel a little bit more comfortable in what they're playing, and that really just shows on the server in terms of what they're able to bring to the table.
I think the good news here for Boundary Breakers is, I mean, it's that map pick, that band pick as well. I think coming through into this, having the choice of map is really nice. The issue is, the later you get on into a series, the less maps there are to choose from, especially with a bit of an unconventional pool like this. They're not going to be, I mean, Push has some nice ones, but the Flashpoint, lack of Surabasa means I think teams are a little less comfortable on the New Junk City or the Atlas. You just play it less, but and for the Push, I think Ruda Sappy is an interesting one as well, because again, I think that probably is the most popular one. Colosseo, I could expect to see here, but Colosseo, you might be running into that Snowdrop Widowmaker. It's not the most conventional, but definitely playable. There's so many options, and then also lacking that Mauga ban now feels more dangerous than ever, because it feels like Ragnarok Norway were always going to run that Sigma. Maybe we're wrong about that, and maybe that's revisionism, right? Maybe they were going to opt for that Mauga and the map looks entirely different, but now it feels like if that was the case, you've banned out the Mauga, they put the Sigma and just steamrolled you, and now they have that Mauga coming into a potential Flashpoint or a potential Push.
Yeah, well, if we look over at our map pool just while we're waiting for that decision to come through from Boundary Breakers, you're really not left with too much of a choice. I mean, Push, even though, yeah, you've got the slight differences, still plays fairly consistently between the different maps. Same with Flashpoint. New Junk City is a little bit more enclosed compared to Atlas. I'd say Atlas is the better map for me out of the Flashpoints,
agree, yeah.
But in terms of what you want to leave on the table as well, if you're looking at leaving that New Junk City, we saw how oppressive that Mauga Anran composition was on Ilios. I feel like that's just going to go the same way on something like a New Junk City if you allow it to go through that far. So potentially picking the Atlas and leaving the Push to be the final decider if it gets that far, if you're able to win out on Atlas, feels like it's the best situation for me, but it feels like it's the best of a bad bunch in terms of the situations that you want to put yourself in.
It has to be one of those top 2 maps, I think. It has to be Colosseo or Atlas. I think you're right. I think New Junk City is slightly more enclosed. I think the same can be said for NQS compared to Colosseo. I think, obviously, the after the first point objective, either map, there's the ridiculous high ground, but that long corridor on Colosseo is a completely different play style to the train and the curve on New Queen Street that makes it a little bit more, not enclosed, but closer range. And I think it has to be one of those top 2. But when you're playing it, such a strong hit scan like Snowdrop, who's looked incredible on Shion and now looks incredible on Widowmaker, looked good on the Cass as well. So versatile. It's really about managing his damage more than anything, because you're not going to out damage him at this point. Tengwan, Shindahei, they're playing well, but they're not playing as good as Snowdrop, and that's not really a fault of their own. He's just playing great. So how do you deal with that? And I think the issue with a hit scan role that can play anything is you can't really pick around it. You just have to play around it.
Yeah, you can't outban Snowdrop, because Snowdrop just goes over onto one of the others, and it is going to be the Atlas that I was saying about, but it still leaves this Mauga Anran composition available. Do you ban out the Anran of Reinschreit and make sure that, you know, one of the 2 evils that you faced on Ilios is not going to be there? Yes, you could ban out the Shion, but at the end of the day, you're probably going to be wanting to play it as well in the enclosed sightline. And Tracer's going to be there as well if you really want to go for it. I feel like there's a lot of questions. Lucio ban out. Okay, that affects some things. And the Zarya ban on the other side. Okay, well, it's still going to be some questions there over potentially the Sigma or the Mauga. How do you deal with that? In terms of the Anran, if that comes back in, how are you dealing with that? But I feel like at least the Lucio is going to affect how they play. And we saw Reflect early on that Lucio on Ilios as part of the team that ran them over, but maybe was the weak link on that first map.
Yeah, and flipped over to the Juno on King's Road, so that could be a selection to offer some speed, or could just opt for, I mean, it could just be the Baptiste here, and I wouldn't hate it, right? You lose some of that speed, but with how well he was playing, hitting so many shots, that damage potential is so high, and so much sustain and survivability, the Zarya ban means maybe it's more likely they go towards the Sigma, but it might just be Mauga and us saying, look, we don't want to deal with your Zarya strength, and that is exactly what we see here. The Shield from Snowdrop and the Anran too, so exactly what we expected. It's a mirror comp beyond the Lucio being changed out for the Juno, which makes a lot of sense to me. On the other side, I love what they're running here. You've got the Mitsuki to deal with the dives of an Anran or a Shion, can trap them in place despite their mobility. Orisa is a stalwart here, can deal with that burn so well, and the Cass, I think, comfort pick. It's actually interesting to me that it's Shinda here, not Tengwan, but Tengwan over to that Tracer, so that makes sense.
Yeah, Snowdrop switching back over onto that Shion after TPing out of the spawn, and now that aggressive angle taken, and you see the Orisa early. Reintright's just going to back away and make sure that there's no aggression that can follow onto the Anran, as everyone's going to go in aggressively onto this backline again, and of course that chain isn't going to be able to be found onto that player 1-for-1 here as Reflect goes down, but so does Corpy, and Tengwan now down low. Sheep has fallen to the amount of damage that Reintright and Snowdrop are able to put through, and now this backline of squishies is going to be under so much more pressure from Reintright and Kevin, but it's a good chain. Reintright's able to get away with the help of Nexty, and still the point lies in the hands of Norway.
Yeah, it's a great Suzu early by Lonely, but it's even better by Kevin to bait that out in the first place. That allows the kill onto Sheep, who can't survive without the support of his teammate. That's a nice chain though, but once more, Sheep is low, has to back around this corner, takes so much damage from the Malgren, and Orisa dying this fast is always scary because it kind of defeats the point of it. Snowdrop's grabbed Tengwan in the meantime.
Yeah, and as well, you've forced out all the cooldowns. You're going to have to wait for the timings to come back, and now this means that Snowdrop can take an aggressive angle once again. It's a beautiful chain by Corpy, and you're able to shut it down, so Snowdrop falls, but so does Shinda Hair, and now you don't have that chain to deal with anything else. Nexty applying damage from the backline, and now it's going to be difficult for Tengwan to get in here. Pulse goes wide, and just about surviving is going to be Reflect and Kevin. Reintright now looking to take the angle onto the point, knowing that Tengwan has to drop down, able to get the touch and force the overtime wick to burn, but the rest of the team should not be able to get there. And the first point taken comfortably from Team Norway.
Yeah, it's so much forced out by Ragnarok Norway onto the boundary breakers. Corpy does nice work to find Snowdrop, who doesn't quite get the timing, baited out by that Suzu vulnerability, and then stuck in the open with the chain. But now investing early, here comes that rush, here comes that high damage, but able to kite it potentially are Ragnarok Norway, and yeah, they do so nicely. Actually, it's a shot there from Shindahe onto Snowdrop. That's a big find.
That felt like it was needed, and Nexty investing that Kitsune rush, trying to wait until as late as possible. Waits a little bit too long. Reintright's able to get one onto Corpy with the burn, but surely you've lost out this fight, and now they invest the resurrection as well, trying to do something here with Reintright, but the Suzu's just too much to deal with. Lonely able to get him with a quick melee, and it really feels like Norway, in trying to get those kills, just invested a little bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the fumble that Boundary Breakers needed. That waste of the ultimate could be the butterfly effect that allows Boundary Breakers to take this point. And Sheep has his, and on the other side, Kevin and Snowdrop have theirs and Reflect too. So that high damage from Shion can get that boost from the Juno potentially, and then fly forward and get an immense burst. High charge on Shindahe, who can't two-pick early doors, looking to mirror that here. And this guy, the Suzu's come out, and here comes the phenomenal. Oh my god, the wrist block, and then the Suzu. That's beautiful play from Sheep. He's found the second on the next team. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. And then in the meantime, it's Reintright onto Shindahe, and here comes the orbital ray. High damage potential for everyone on the sport, and there's the execution. High damage is coming through the race course from Tengwan, who has that death force to invest, but the cages, the rest is back away. Kevin got the damage through in the end. Snowdrop has found two, looking for the third as well. That's the Shion 3-piece that we've been waiting for. And I mean, Sheep does so nice in the opening stage of that fight, but it's not enough.
If they turn that fight because of Sheep's Terror Surge being able to trap Snowdrop's free, that would have been absolutely ridiculous, but unfortunately they don't just have the sustain to build through it. It has forced all 5 ults out of Norway, and both DPS ults on the table for Tengwan and Shindahe to be able to do a lot of pressure into the backline. Snowdrop's able to get one, but immediately forced on the trade, but the trades seem like they're better for Norway. Reinstright and Reflect now the last two here up against Tengwan, but Tengwan's found the first. Reinstright is able to get Corpy before falling, but Tengwan's going to be the last one alive on the Reaper, able to walk back onto the objective and take it for Boundary Breakers. Are you going to be able to capture it before Kevin can get back here? No, the contest comes through, and now the Reaper just has to stay alive, wait for the rest of the team to come back on the other side. Here comes the overclock from Shindahe, and it's a lot of pressure onto Kevin, who has survived but is forced to be back away. It means that the point has gone into control of Boundary Breakers. Now trying to get control here back for Team Norway. They have 2 ultimates here. Reinstrike can be the martyr here with that ult coming online, being able to get back in with the resurrection, but losing Kevin early is going to be devastating for them. That Kitsune Rush still online for Nexi, but with Reflect going down, surely you don't decide to invest it now. Fire Dance on the point for Ryan Tripe, Buzz does fall. Snowdrop's going to invest the ultimate. And here comes the second as well. They're still investing here, and it feels like it's too little too late. The Kitsune Rush from Nexi. Ragnarok Norway, they're losing their heads a little bit, trying to make sure that the miracle plays happen, when going away from the consistency really has hurt their chances on this second objective.
I'm a little bit of the opinion that it's almost never worth it to use the Anran res unless you've died early in a fight. If you're doing it midway or late, it's never worth it, because if you have it and can use it, you should be using it midway, and if it's late, you're going to lose the fight anyway. And Ryan's right here, uses it late and dies twice. Now doesn't have it here, could get such high damage. Look at this spot, there's 3 bundled up and have to use the Fire Dance, but no ultimate to invest means no picks to be found. The original Sheep have to back down this corner, but they're going to stick on this flash point. Here comes that Ray, here comes that damage. Kevin was the Corpy in the first place, and there's the Torpedo's going to ping onto 1, ping onto 2. I think there's a low HP next in the back line, but there's the death looking for Tengwan, finds Ryan Strike looking for more. Next P's back in the fight, so Kevin's back in the fight too, and Reflect keeping his Margaret alive, but captures the point, have boundary breakers, so they're getting percentage ticks. There's a Torpedo onto Sheep zone. I think the fight's going to be flipped here by Ragnarok Norway, and it will in the end, but 20% for boundary breakers isn't bad in a fight you've lost.
Yeah, but you look at the ults that they went in with, they were using both that Terra Surge and the Death Blossom, and they only get 1 off the back of it. Really, you want to be getting a little bit more than that in terms of trying to find the value. And Corpy going down early as well, just trying to put a little bit of pressure onto Snowdrop. That means that you can go in. You don't have to worry about that chain in the backline, but Tengwan has found a big pick onto Nexi. That trade there is huge for Boundary Breakers to try and get back into this fight. Reinstrike's found 10-1 eventually, but you do have the overclock here if you want to invest it for Shinda here. Now comes the investment. Snowdrop does fall to it, and they look to fight forwards once again, do the Boundary Breakers, trying to get in onto Reflect now. A lot of pressure in, too much. Shinda here gets the kill. Reinstrike's trying to find the kill back, but once again, Shinda here shuts it down. Nexi, though, back from the grave, is able to get the kill, and somehow they're still fighting this Team Norway. Nexi is going to fall once again. Cage fight invested just the wrong time. It feels like the timing's just too far off from Team Norway. Snowdrop's going to try and do everything here, but at least doesn't invest a spree. So they're going to have that for next time. 3 ults coming online for Team Norway, but again, that cage fight just feels like it's too little too late.
Yeah, we're going to see rush for rush here in this one, and the Terror Surge coming through, but I think that spree is going to be the big one. Can they CC it out once more with the Iris ultimate, or will it find bigger value this time? Ryan Trite as well has that ultimate too, can get so much splash with that, and overhealth super Reflect, brought down early by a beautiful shot from Shinda. Hey, who's looking alive on this Sojourn.
Yeah, they can still turn this if they want to, but they have to be careful not to lose anyone else in here. Terra Surge invested from Sheeps are going to keep them at bay for now, and the time is ticking up. 4 Boundary Breakers on the point. Snowdrop now invests that spree, waits to be able to pull the trigger. There it goes, finds 1, but Tengwan finds 2 with that Death Blossom. 3 on the fight for Tengwan, tries to make it a 4th. Reflect's going to find some damage with the torpedoes, finds the kill with the martyrdom, but at the end of the day, you've lost that second objective, and once again, it feels like that ultimate control, it's not quite there for Norway.
Yeah, it's a beautiful early pick there from Jindar here, and then Tengwan, the DPS duo come through, and Ragnarok Norway a little bit too slow on that one. Snowdrop does well to find the spree, but they wait so long that the Blossom's built up, and Tengwan able to flip that fight now up on the high ground, facing towards this bridge. His Sheep drops down to the point and bunkers around this corner, waiting for that objective to be unlocked. Kevin takes a spear to the face, but nothing doing here. Tengwan and Shinda here take chunks of damage, but again, no picks found and nothing early fall in the spear. Trying to get that shield off the objective, but can't quite land it.
Yeah, Ray should be big for both sides here as Shinda goes down a little bit low, but able to get back in here. You really need to invest this early, but Sheep's not in the sight of the Ray. Not found from the orbital laser, and Snowdrop finds a second as well, and it feels like Sheep, the timing wasn't there, just aggressing a bit too far away from that orbital that really could have made all the difference from Corpy. Instead it's Reflex that's able to take that first control the objective here for Norway.
Yeah, and it's good that they haven't invested the Anron ult yet, but Reinschreit looking like he's really favoring this resurrection. So no early aggression from the Anran, and I feel like it can be useful, but it feels like you're holding on to it for a little bit too long at points. Here's Kevin though onto here, and can find the other DPS of 10-1 too. Reinschreit get that final blow, so it's another clean fight won by Ragnarok Norway before it even got going.
Yeah, and it takes that overclock off the table. As really, that's going to be your initiation tool into this next fight for the objective. You want Shindaher to be your aggressor in this fight, but now you've got to be careful not to lose Corpi as well. Just about able to survive without the positioning issues. Sheep goes down so low. It's a brilliant Suzu there. Sheep's going to be able to walk out of this if needed, but it's exactly what the doctor ordered for Team Norway, investing that cage fight, using it with Reinschreit's Phoenix Dive, and able to find the kills off the back of it. Snowdrop and Nexty still have theirs in the back pocket. Yes, he got 3 on the side of Boundary Breakers, but once again, point control's already here for Norway, so you're going to have to fight back in, and it looks like they really want to go fast here. Ooh. They're able to get the torpedoes in onto Corpi. Reinschreit founds too early. You're trying to survive if you're lonely, but everyone falls, and you invest Tenghwan's ultimate as well. The point isn't ticking at the moment for Team Norway, but in 10 seconds it absolutely will be.
That was a beautiful fight. They postured that on so well. They played hiding around those corners, and as soon as the spawn doors were left, they pounced, they spawned that trap. Tenghwan tried to flip the fight with the Death Toss, and perhaps always knowing that he was going to switch to Tracer here, and doesn't quite find value, and now picks up that different character. But Reinschreit down early to the overclock. It's Shindaher who's again doing the Sojourn with the opening pick, and solo experience. Arista can't quite land that follow-up shot, but the Kiriko is now down to half. Can he get the second? It's actually Corpi to get 2 here. Snowdrop's found Shindaher, but is it enough? Is it too little, too late? Feels like it, because Tenghwan on the Tracer gets that final blow.
Holding on here, Boundary Breakers. They need this final map to be able to stay alive and bring it to 2-2. Snowdrop and Nexy still with that spree and Kitsune Rush in the back pocket, and it's Sheep and Lonely with those charged on the other side both. Juno's coming up on the raise as well. It's an early Kitsune Rush for Nexy, mirrored in turn by Lonely, as both of these Kirikos invest early into this fight. Snowdrop's not going to be caught in the gravitic field of Sheep's Terror Surge, but has to back away, and eventually he is going to be found by Sheep. Coming back in to protect the rest of the team. Tenghwan takes down Reflect as well, so the orbital ray isn't going to be invested. Might be a blessing more than a curse for Team Norway. They are going to find Nexy late, but Kevin should be able to get away. In this final fight, Snowdrop switching over, maybe just looking to punish someone getting too aggressive into the spawn doors.
Yeah, I think the only advantage Norway have here now is that Reflect has the ray, and Corpi's obviously nowhere near it, but Snowdrop not getting the value of this freeze, not getting the value of the shield as much here. As I say,
that's the value.
It's the bike, it's the shot, and a Snowdrop on this off angle now from that point. So focus has to be brought here from the Boundary Breakers onto him, but instead they're hard focused forward.
Reflect has to live here. They just about survive, and it's the flip of the fight. Kevin's gone huge, finding 3. And now you have that combo that won them that last objective, that final fight. Reinschreit's ultimate alongside Kevin could be enough to spell doom for the Boundary Breakers, as it looks like it's going to be last fight territory by the time they get back here. The cage fight could be everything for Team Norway, as aggression from Kevin early. Tenghwan's found the pulse bomb onto Snowdrop, but Reinschreit's found one onto Lonely, and 2 kills turns to 3 quickly inside that cage fight. Sheep found without the rest of the team around him. A Reflect's gone absolutely massive, even without the use of the ray. If there is a touch here from Tenghwan, it's going to be taken down here quickly. Surely trying to stay alive, does get the second touch, third as well. Done well to really ult the time bank as much as possible. The rest of the team's been able to get back in here, and the ray that was kept perfectly by Reflect should be everything that's needed. Switching back onto the Doomfist is going to be Kevin. Is going to be Sheep, sorry. The team kill runs through, and despite getting to 99%, it's not quite there for Boundary Breakers. Team Norway are going to be your winners of this show match.
Yes, lovely work from Tenghwan with that pulse bomb, takes down the opposition Shion, but when you're facing that cage with the Phoenix 5, it's so much damage, it's so much burn, and they have the ray for the final fight just to really close things out. And Ragnarok Norway, I think, ever so slightly edging as the better team on Atlas, and that is really the story of the series. This was the one they needed, the Boundary Breakers. They needed to own that pick. They couldn't do so in 3-1. Is this show match 3-1 for Norway over the Boundary Breakers of China? And that is I mean, beautiful work overall. It's a great series from both teams. I think Boundary Breakers so close to taking that one over the line. They're on 99%. We could have been at map 5, and I think it would have been deservedly so, but Norway showing enough there to close it out and to win this series.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for the Boundary Breakers because it felt like it was so close yet so far. They were 2-1 up on Atlas, but just not quite able to turn it around. I think Snowdrop not finding the value of the Ilios Shion, but it's enough to get the job done at the end of the day. It felt like Sheep on that Orisa was doing really well as we look back over the timeline of this show match. Ilios going to the Norwegians 2-0. Boundary Breakers hitting back on King's Row. Looked impressive there. Circuit Royale, though, absolute dominance from Team Norway, and especially the likes of Reflect and Snowdrop on that map entirely. And then it was a team effort. All of them making sure they just about get through and make sure they win this 3-1, 3-2 scoreline on Atlas. And that is going to be enough to close it out here for Team Norway and take this first to 3.
Yeah, I think Kevin especially stepped up on that final map, on that Malga. I mean, looked great on the Malga in the opening stages of things, and then brings it back for Atlas, and I think drops over 40 kills on the Malga with just such... I mean, you just provide so much pressure with those miniguns. It's constant damage, it's constant wounding, it's just a constant thing to think about, and it gives you less cognitive load for the Boundary Breakers to spend on doing their own thing, finding their own picks, and in the end, that is, yeah, just enough for Norway to push it forwards. Reflect, I think, a real standout performer in the later stages of that series too.
Yeah, well, that is going to be the end of our proceedings for today as Team Norway take away the winners of the show match. We are going to give a quick shout out to people that have made this possible, though. Of course, you've had me and Sam here on the mic, but as we look to the rest of our broadcast crew, our producers, Agaleth and Luau, our observers, KPJ, Corvid and Bert, and a special thanks to both Group of Senju for organising this show match and Respawn.io for providing us a broadcast package to make this possible today. But for now, any final thoughts from you, Sam, before we head off?
That was great. It was a really good game. I'm really happy with how both teams played there. I had a really fun time watching it, and I think it was good. It was a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. Echoed exactly for what I was about to say. I think Team Norway as well are going to be looking forwards to that 2027 Overwatch World Cup roster when that comes around. But for now, we're going to be leaving you, and have a great rest of your day. Everyone that's been watching this, goodbye for now.
All I wanna do is to put my arms around you and watch these moments fall back into place. All I wanna do is to make you stop and love me. How can I be blue when you catch me in these feelings like okay. I love you, I do need you, I do I do need you, I love you, I do need you.